Lad Esmond here for Winners and Winers, trying to make you a better. And we're going to be talking bowl games, and we're joined by one of my favorite cappers, and we're going to talk some obscure early bowl games with David, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So David, talking about the games, I'm going to talk about first, got one we got going on Friday, UTSA against Troy. This is the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl. This is going to be interesting. You've got coaching changes, players opting out for the NFL, the transfer portal, like we said, really impacting bowl season. This is going to be the first bowl for head coach John Sumrall. He's under some pressure to win because the program won its last 4 bowl games. And then on the other sideline, UTSA is still searching for its first bowl win. It's 0-3 since it got into the New Mexico Bowl. Last year, it dropped the Frisco Bowl to San Diego State. Troy has a great win this year over Coastal Carolina for the Sun Belt title, coming in on a 10-game winning streak, but so is UTSA. Not a win over Coastal Carolina, but also a 10-game win streak. The Roadrunners started 1-2, and they came this close to beating Houston in the opener and lost, but they dominated the rest of the way with a high-powered offensive style. They're scoring 30 or more points since losing 41-20 to Texas, and they've got a great quarterback in veteran Frank Harris. He's one of the best all-around quarterbacks in the country. I'm sorry. The Roadrunners. Quarterback Frank Harris, he hits about 71% of his passes, doesn't make a ton of mistakes. He's also a dangerous runner, and UTSA can score a ton of points. The Trojans' offense has its moments, but they can't afford to get behind in this game, or UTSA is going to run away possibly. They can score in a hurry. Troy, however, 8th in the nation in scoring defense, and they're going to try to keep the pressure on Harris with their pass rush. And then the offense with the Trojans, like I said, not as great, but Gunnar Watson, the quarterback's not bad. He had a great day throwing the ball against Coastal, so he'll want to be that good again, and they're going to need a big day from him if they want the win. That's a quick look at the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl between UTSA, the Roadrunners, and the Trojans of Troy. What do you got?
Well, I'm going to go to a bowl game that a lot of people overlook and don't pay a lot of attention to, but you should, and that's the Celebration Bowl. It's the only bowl game involving 2 FCS teams. Jackson State is actually number 5 in the nation in FCS, but they go to this bowl game instead. This is considered the national championship between HBCUs. You've got Jackson State, who's 12-0, going against North Carolina Central, who's 9-2. Jackson State right now, 14-point favorite, and the total set at 54.5. When we talk about coaching changes, you got a unique situation here because you have one of the most high-profile coaching changes in the nation with Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. He's already accepted the job at Colorado. However, he is going to coach Jackson State in this game. His son, who's the starting quarterback, is going to be going to Colorado with him, with about 10 to 12 other Jackson State players, but they're going to be playing in this game, which makes it unique. Jackson State, though, they're a big favorite. They were a big favorite in this game last year when they lost 31-10. One thing to keep in mind, the MEAC, which is the conference that North Carolina Central represents, has actually won 5 out of 6 Celebration Bowls straight up against the SWAC champ. So we'll see what happens. It should be interesting to see how Coach Prime and Deion Sanders' team does in this game as he's coaching, and he's going to be right off to Colorado right after.
Coach Prime leaving the cupboard kind of bare on his way out the door and not making a lot of friends with the Colorado players. So we'll see how that goes. The initial Wasabi Fenway Bowl is going to be played finally after 2 false starts.
This one's really interesting.
The 2020 version was canceled due to the pandemic, and 2021 didn't go either because Virginia had COVID issues. And this is the first time I've seen this. The coach of one team in the bowl has left and will be the coach of the other team in the bowl. The Louisville head coach is taking over the Cincinnati program. And Cincinnati has lost its head coach, but he won't be on the sidelines for this game. But what a weird situation. It's a battle of interims with Deion Branch as the interim for UFL, and special teams coach Kerry Coombs will take over for the Bearcats of Cincinnati. Under the departed Luke Fickell, Cincinnati was 2-2. He's left for Wisconsin. They lost, of course, to Alabama in the semifinal pretty badly last year. The program overall 10-11 in bowl games. It's lost its last 2. It's 2-5 in its last 7 since beating Duke in the 2012 Belk Bowl. But Louisville ain't great either. They're 11-12-1 all time and 1-3 in their last 4. Louisville star quarterback has opted out. A lot of other players then started to opt out. Brock Doman will start. Brock Doman will start for Louisville. The Cardinal offense also missing running back Tyon Evans, along with the leading wide receiver now, Tyler Hudson. The Cincinnati offense isn't nearly what it was last year. It's been their defense keeping them in games. That's led to their wins. The Bearcat defense, however, has been vulnerable to the running game, and it was 1-3 against offenses that hit 200 or more rushing yards. And this game is so weird. Coaches going to the other side, interim coaches coaching both sides, bunch of players missing, players we've never heard of, starting quarterback. It's going to be a toss-up, in my opinion. It's a hard one to pick there, David. What do you got next?
Well, I've got a game that real sexy matchup that I'm sure is on everybody's radar here. Well, not really, but I'm going to talk about the Lending Tree Bowl here.
All right, the Lending Tree. Okay, good. Got to get the if we got the Wasabi Bowl, the Cure Bowl, let's go Lending Tree.
Absolutely. We've got 6-6 Southern Mississippi, who won their last game of the season to become bowl eligible, going against Rice, who dropped the last 3 games of the season. 5-7 doesn't usually get you in a bowl, but instead of becoming bowl eligible with 6 wins, Rice leaned on its academic merit to back themselves into this game. We'll see how that works for them in this one. Interesting tips on this one. Both teams have used 4 different quarterbacks this season. Rice is going to be starting a freshman quarterback in this one, but this is going to be Rice's first bowl appearance since 2014. They sound like they're excited to be there. They've got Luke McCaffrey's missed the last 2 games of the regular season. He's their second leading receiver. He looks to be going in this game. He's the younger brother of a 49er star, Christian McCaffrey, if you're not familiar with him. On the other side, you've got a Southern Mississippi team. You know, they are in their second year of the regime with their head coach after not making a bowl last year. Poor offensive team, but they do have Frank Gore Jr., who's accounted for about 1/3 of their offensive yards this year. It'll be interesting to see what happens. These 2 teams used to be in the same conference. They didn't play this year, but they did play the last 2 seasons, and Rice won outright. And coming into this game, Southern Miss right now is a 6.5-point favorite with the total set at 45.5.
All right, I'm just going to touch on one more game here because it's got a Pacific Northwest connection, and that is the Las Vegas Bowl at Allegiant Stadium. That is this Saturday, 2:30 Eastern time. And this is Florida versus Oregon State. Yeah, the Beavers will face an SEC team. Not Florida State, the Florida Gators. They weren't great. They went 6-6, I believe. And look, the Beavs have been a fun story this year. And generally, in Washington, we wouldn't like to see an Oregon team in a bowl game, but we've got to give it to the Beavers for beating the Ducks. That was one of the best games this year in college football. And, of course, Washington folks love watching Oregon teams lose. And it's even more fun when the underdog takes down the highly touted favorite. And watching the Beavers beat the Ducks was so much fun for everybody who's a Washington fan. Doesn't matter if a Cougar fan or a Huskies fan. That was a great one. And I think everybody in Washington will find themselves rooting for the Beavers, which, by the way, are a heavy favorite in this game. Beavers -10 facing a Florida Gators team who has lost a bunch of people to the transfer portal, and NFL-itis. So that goes on. I wish this would stop happening, but it's just a fact of life now in college bowl games. You're going to get a lot of strange things happening. So again, you may want to wait until an hour, a half an hour, 5 minutes before these games to place a bet,
Right.
because if you don't, you may be missing some very important information. All right, that's it. Some obscure bowl games to talk about here with David. Thank you, David. Appreciate you being here with me for Winners and Winers. Appreciate you always. I'm Loud Esmond. Go get those premium picks. This guy's over here. They're great. Mine are pretty good too. I'm on a good run, 12-2, and there's a couple good specials for me right now that you can go check out. I'm Loud Esmond for Winners and Winers, trying to make you a better